So my name is Dominique Dumont, and as you mentioned before,
I'm
the Director of Strategic Planning and Development in Facilities Management, and I've been working at Concordia for 23 years now, always in the same sector. I'm an architect, trained as an architect, but I've been focusing on planning projects at Concordia for facilities. I work with a team of architects. Rocio is part of my team. I'll let her introduce herself too, but quickly, very passionate about the campus master plan, evolution, elaboration, and obviously mobility is part of the campus master plan. So this is why we're happy to join you, Alex, today to talk about this subject.
Right on.
So,
we'll be sharing all the resources afterwards as well. Yeah, no worries.
Hello. So my name is Rocio, and I'm an architect. I've been working in Concordia for 5 years. I come from Spain, so I did my studies in Spain and France, and before joining Concordia I worked for 13 years as an architect in different countries, Spain, France, Mexico, and the US before coming to Canada. So I'm passionate about architecture, but also about our cities and public spaces, and also about the sustainability side of it, like the impact that our design decisions have on the rest of human beings and all the living creatures around us and the planet.
Right on. Thank you. Well, you can hold on to that. So yeah, you mentioned in your intro that you're passionate about the master plan for the university, so the campus master plan, which sounds really big. Maybe if you could break it down for us, I guess, like what is the master plan, and yeah, like how do we use it as a guide?
yes, sure. So we actually brought a copy of the campus master plan here for both campuses. So in the end, it's a report. It's a document, but it's a living document. So it's something that we use as a framework to discuss, and it's a communication tool to discuss with the city and the different parts of the university how we're going to grow in the future. And we need this to align our intentions with the different types of transformations, whether it's renovations or interventions outside of the university. I mean, in the exterior space, public spaces. So, it's something that we need to review also as we develop. So obviously Concordia changed a lot over the last 25 years. There's a few new buildings that popped up, and new urban installations as well. This sector was transformed after Quartier Concordia competition in 2003. So the Place Béthune, the tunnels, the new bike lanes that are protected, new sidewalks, more trees. All this takes many years, and so the campus master plan is sort of ensuring that we make the right decisions on the long term.
Yes. Okay. And this isn't the only copy. There is a digital version, and we'll be sharing a link to the Campus Master Plan website after for participants to check out. I guess in doing such a plan, we've been having a series of conversations because your office reached out to us to say, we know that there are students involved, specifically Urban Planning Association, Geography, Arts and Science, many students that are interested in public space, and Mackay in particular, and we'd like to meet them. I wanted to know, when you're talking about engaging the community in this plan, I guess, what was the kind of process to go out and speak to people? What was that like?
Yeah. So the elaboration of the Campus Master Plan, one of the key pillars was consultation. We wanted the plan to integrate all the complexity of what a campus is from the very beginning. So we, first of all, we work with a firm of multidisciplinary disciplines, meaning that we had urban planners, designers, also mobility consultants, communication experts, to help us organize all these activities. So we consulted the community from the very beginning. The first phase was the elaboration of the portrait, and we did a portrait ourselves from the studies and from our experts' work, but also we consulted the communities to see what the challenges were from their viewpoint. And then we consulted them along the process. It was during COVID, so everything was done virtually. We set up a platform, an online platform, so this consultation could be facilitated. And at the end, you can consult all the consultation reports online, but we reached out to a pretty wide representation of what the communities, internal community from Concordia. We also reach out to our neighbors in both campuses. So yeah, it was a key element of the process.
And was there, in that process, something that surprised you? Like, even if it was just one interaction with one stakeholder or something that you weren't expecting in terms of what came out of it?
Not for me, I think we're very connected to what the issues are. We come to campus as everybody does. We bike, we walk. We don't drive to campus, but we were kind of somehow sensitive to the challenges. But yeah, it definitely confirmed some issues that we were thinking existed. For me, there was no surprise.
I think what was a good thing actually was also that we had the opportunity to adjust the scenarios that we were thinking about from the feedback that we received. And I think what surprised me actually is that afterwards, people told us, well, this is great, you actually listen to us. And so there is a buy-in when you do that. So, I mean, it was not just theoretical, it was... The result was that people felt they were heard, I think. So
good.
That was kind of not a surprise, but something that was rewarding.
Oh, that's nice. It's nice to be rewarded for good work. So I think, I don't know if you were here when Donnie was here, one of our professors from urban planning. He had talked about an impact assessment they looked at in terms of mobility issues across the city. And I know when we were talking about this consultation plan, you were really focused in on like mobility issues came up. You already mentioned that you're pedestrians and cyclists, and so you're thinking about how people come onto campus. I guess could you maybe talk a little bit more about like what were the mobility issues that came up? What were the big items when you're thinking at the campus plan for Sir George William, what are the, I guess, mobility issues that you're really concerned about or that you've put into the plan?
If we look at the plan, actually, you can see that we have 50 buildings on the campus, and one of the they're highlighted in gray, yeah. So in the beginning, the campus was developed next to the metro station. So that was already a good move. In 1966, when Sir George Williams University built the Hall building.
Oh, right on.
And the metro station was built on the corner of Guy and the Maisonneuve, and it was just brand new, So then the other main buildings were eventually all connected to the underground, to an underground pathway or passage or tunnel, and connected to the metro. So, but one of the issues is really to create this kind of connection between all the buildings, so that students have to, sometimes run to another building to a class, and they just have 10 or 15 minutes to do this switch, and so it was really to facilitate the connectivity for Sir George William. At Loyola, there were I would say that the thing that is most difficult is it's a completely different campus. It's not interconnected in the city with streets. It's a big like a big park with buildings in it, and we have actually private streets inside and of that little park, and there's a mix of the pedestrians, the cars, the delivery trucks, the bicycles. It's shared, but it's not really safe. Or so that's an issue that came up. You know, how do we can we have a pedestrian campus actually, and sort of push the trucks and the cars out? So how do we do that? Yeah. So that was, I think, the main things that differentiate both campuses. But in general, there's this cohesion, that making the campus cohesive and having an identity that is common to both campuses. And within the city, how do you define the limits, and how do you enter the campus? How do you approach? What is the threshold? What makes the difference between, you know, Quartier, Concordia, or the Sir George William campus and the rest of the district? Yeah. So these were things that were explored.
No, and as you're describing, it must, as a planner, as an architect, you have such different campuses to work with in terms of their nature and the quality of the territory and how they interact with the surrounding environment. There was a former employee at the Institute of Community Development, which is no longer existent and has been rolled into the Office of Community Engagement. He used to say that the university membrane is porous, you know, and I think this comes out in some planning documents, like we had Embrace the City, Embrace the World, and this idea that, yes, you're coming into Concordia, but you're not leaving the city, much and vice versa. So I guess my drawing on that and these conclusions that you were drawing around what the major issues were, I guess, how did this work into, like, what are the future orientations around mobility, or like this consultation? And I mean, you obviously live with this document, but for those passing by or those listening in that don't necessarily have all the familiarity, I guess, where is this taking us as an institution?
So first of all, I would like to remind that the Campus Master Plan is a framework. So it doesn't give solutions, but orientations towards solutions, just to leave it open for people to think about ideas. But actually, mobility is at the very core of the plan. If you see and consult the documents, there is a framework. So there is a vision, guiding principles, and a series of filters. And mobility is represented in each of them. So you can see, like, we want a campus where mobility is at the core, as is it said in the vision. And then we have a mobility guiding principle that set up the objectives to tend towards a pedestrian-friendly campuses on both sides. And also we have the sustainability filter, in which we have developed a whole set of strategies and objectives around sustainable mobility. So it's not just having campuses where people by walk or active mobility feel safer, but it's also how this mobility needs to be sustainable as well. So it's really in each of these elements, and we give orientations, so future ideas can take place, and we try to connect it again through consultations to the community, but also with the city. The city of Montreal is really worried and active towards working to make Montreal a more sustainable mobility-oriented city. Mm-hmm. So everything is somehow interconnected, but it's definitely at the heart of the plan.
I guess there must have been some learning from and give and take with, obviously, the city's mobility plans, I assume.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They just launched their plan recently. So yeah, the whole process, we've been walking along both sides in defining our own orientations, and they are very aligned if you see the final document.
And I would also maybe underline that this is, it's great, as you said, to have gone out and done this consultation work, but feel validated in some of that, because I had a conversation the other day with Professor Cacao, who's leading the Fly Less policy. So like this idea around your prestige and your ability to advance as a professor is often tied to attending conferences around the world, which when you're thinking, are we trying to be a sustainable organization, and yet we can only advance a whole sector of our employees by sending them to conferences constantly around the world, is that really sustainable? So you're not alone in thinking about this. There's definitely like people coming at this in different ways. I'm loving to hear pedestrianization is so central to the master plan, especially for Sir George William. I guess, how can this be, you mentioned like the campus master plan is a framework, it's a tool. I guess for those that aren't architects in facilities planning, how can we use this as a tool around pedestrianization or connectivity of our campus? Or can you tell us, I guess maybe not just passersby on the street, but also like how is it being used, and then how can people get involved in that?
Well, I would say it's really a reference, or how can I say it's a communication tool. So when, for example, I don't know, like with the students, for example, we who wanted to revisit the project on Mackay, we gave them this information. I mean, there's a lot of information in there that can start as a base for a proposal, or so if we there's the whole history of the campus is sort of captured in this, right? So and I guess when you want to talk to your neighbors, you can use this as an it's illustrated, right? So it helps to understand the connections with the rest of the city also. So when we spoke with the Musée des Beaux-Arts, for example, we exchanged and we looked at the maps, and they could we were saying, okay, La Rue du Musée is just next to our campus. We have la zone éducation culture on Bishop Street, and then there's the Hall Building Terrace that's connected to that, and then Mackay. So it's like a network of public spaces that could be enhanced with different interventions. So this is it's like they're maps that are like customized to be for the discussion and for the elaboration of a proposal.
Amazing. No, and I remember even when you look, Donnie was here earlier and he showed a map, Professor Donnie Cito, he showed a map, and it just makes you think in new ways about a territory when it's highlighting something specific. So I love that this is available and accessible for people. And yeah, I would applaud you in terms of like, again, providing all this information when students are coming forward with it. I guess maybe I wanted you to touch maybe on some of the previous initiatives, especially drawing on your past experience, having been here for so long and being able to see the campus change over so many periods of time. You mentioned conversations with the museum, you mentioned Quartier Concordia. I guess maybe, did you want to dig into that, the Quartier Concordia? Like what was that, or as a planning exercise, or how it resulted in the campus that we see today?
I think that was a very important initiative in early 2000s, like actually in 2003, it was a competition that was organized by Concordia, and it was really to look at the public space. We were actually building the EV building at the time, the integrated engineering and visual arts complex was in construction at the time. The John Molson building was not built yet.
It was still a puddle.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Place Béthune
There was a Y intersection.
It was like
I
a
think.
different intersection.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
different. There was no bike path. So the campus was you know, changing, and it was an opportunity to look at, okay, how does the public space around that work, and how can we enhance the quality. So they did a competition, and then the project of the public space was a partnership with the city. It was mainly public. It was not. It didn't belong to us. The Boulevard de Maisonneuve and the Place Béthune, obviously, it's public spaces from the city, but our competition inspired all the work that was taken on by the city.
Nice.
So it's an amazing project. Unfortunately, it's not complete yet, but we're excited about the renovation of the terrace, which was already studied in there.
Oh, really?
And it's very similar to what we're
yeah?
actually building now,
Huh.
almost 22 years later. So the vision in there was already pretty clear. There was already an access. We were already putting a ramp for universal access, and you're capturing the plan. So anyway, this is fabulous because it's not called Quartier Concordia, the project right now that we're doing. We're just redoing the terrace.
Yeah.
But it was planned in this. The intention was already conveyed by this Quartier Concordia project. The competition was not fully realized. It was an idea, there were ideas in there. It was not just like there was not funding coming with it to realize 100% of it. It was also like a campus master plan for Sir George William, if you may.
No. And I want to underline something you mentioned there, because it reminds me of conversations we were having on the street today. So we had the student associations and community organizations tabling and had coffees and having conversations outside. And a lot of people that I were speaking to were saying, oh, you want to close down the street? I said, well, I don't. Like, we're here talking about a conversation. I hope the conversation is good and that we can come together as a community. I said, oh, the university doesn't want to close the street. And I said, well, the university doesn't own the street. So I think this conversation around, we want to inspire, and then through, concertation, through coming into concert, let's have a good conversation about what is it that we want from our shared public space, whether you are urban planners, residents, students, faculty, staff, passers-by, or people that are also drawn to the other, western half of downtown. So I think that's so interesting to have as a case study of, well, we launched a call and it led to all of these changes in public space that we don't control. So I just wanted to underline like how important that is, that we have the power through our creativity, through our academic work, and through our community to inspire others and to really make change beyond, where Concordia ends, right? And not just around Mackay, but around so many issues. So I think it's amazing that you brought that forward. I didn't even know that when we started to prepare for this interview. I guess the other big infrastructure that you mentioned as a big change, even just thinking about Guy before the bike path, was, there was this change. We have an east-west bike path going through now. So, hey Adam, we're gonna call you up in a minute. We're just going through a running order. So I guess what other ideas are being considered to promote cycling? Because obviously we have the public bike path, but as an institution, like what are the things that we're thinking about promoting or around specifically mobility and cycling?
Yeah, so we work a lot with the Office of Sustainability, whose mandate, they are very strong on outreach and engagement, community engagement towards mobility. So we are working with them to possibly increasing the number of bike support in both campuses, so there is more capacity to have more bikes. We try in facilities management as much as possible to integrate in any new project secure bike parking or bike facilities for bikers. It's important also not to include inclusion in the formula. So always keeping in mind that it's not just bikers, but also how to better access public transportation. So we've been having conversation, and it's part of the campus master plan, how to improve access to buses on Guy Street, the sidewalk, but again, this is in collaboration with other partners. It's not our own work. So we're just trying to integrate as a normal thought to think of mobility when we're thinking of any new project or initiative we're working on.
Yeah. We only have a few moments left, so I definitely want to give you space to talk about anything else that you had mentioned. You'd mentioned kind of conversations with the city. You mentioned the case study of like inspiring the city. I guess how are conversations with the city around Mackay, around pedestrianization? How's the conversation going so far?
Yeah, it's ongoing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention too that we're not the first university nor institution in Montreal trying to pedestrianize public space. It has been done in McGill with McTavish. The museum does it every summer with the Rue du Musée. So we're just jumping into this train where a lot of people is trying to go somewhere that it's nicer than today, but conversations are ongoing. I think there is we've developed a really good relationship with the city and the boroughs. So there is this trust and the idea that we are both rowing towards the same goal present, I would say.
Yes, and I would say the elaboration of a campus master plan created relationships with people at the city, so it's easier now to have those conversations with them and get some support. And it's amazing what we learned about recently with the student groups who were working on revisiting the closure of Mackay. At the same time, we learned that the city had already developed a design guide for pedestrianization. I wasn't aware of that, and they had webinars about it. And so I think there is a lot of people who work on the same kind of thing, and there's a good network of also. So eventually it's going to happen. We're going to have. I mean, it's continuously improving. I see a big difference since. I'd like to say I see a huge difference over the 23 years that I've been coming to campus. Even in this, I mean, in 22 years ago, it was very difficult to cross l'Échangeur des Pins. There was a big spaghetti of autoroute there, and it was like really blocking. And when I think it's only in 2008 that they created the new intersection with the bike path over there, and that changed the connection with all the Plateau Mont-Royal and Outremont and all that Myland and all that area and even beyond to Rosemont. And so we have cycling paths that are really well connected, much better than before.
Yes.
So it's a long process, but every little thing it adds, and it makes the city more accessible. So.
And I maybe just as a closing thought, I would love, again, I've told you this before, but I'm always very impressed by you whenever I meet you in terms of your professional capacity, communication. For somebody who's looking at you as like, oh my goodness, look at this amazing career they have working on such big issues, what would be your advice to our students are coming in, obviously passionate about specific things? Like, what would be your advice to them?
I think it's important to be open to collaborate and to work with different people. So definitely, if you're studying architecture or urban planning or political science for the sake of or communication, just to know that I feel that the world is changing, and we need to remove hats and change hats constantly. So just welcoming this interdisciplinarity and getting ready to be comfortable in as many as them as possible, I would say.
Lovely.
I would say if I can give very humbly, but I would say to take decisions so that you're put your health first, you know, and try to have a healthy lifestyle, and then everything comes naturally, I guess. If you walk to your workplace, or if you walk or cycle, or if you have active transportation, it's good for you. If you eat well, it's good for you. And just having a healthy lifestyle, I think, is the first thing to do. And then everything is going to come naturally. And also, like, be able to step in outside your comfort zone and be curious. And I think we will. There's a nice future for the young people, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That was lovely. So thank you
Great,
so much
Alex.
for being
Thank
here.
you.
No problem.